Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here 6 inks that I am going to swab up today, and I think let's go and do a comparison. The first ink here is Cool Breeze. So let's do an ink swatch. So this is quite a lovely sort of light blue turquoisey colour ink from Krishna, and I'll do a second pass here just so that we can see the difference. So this is Krishna, and it's Cool Breeze. But this is quite a nice sort of almost turquoisey cerulean blue. The next ink is Krishna Winter. So let's do an ink swatch. And I'd say that this actually is a nice winter coloured ink. Do a second pass. Just so that you can see between a wet and a dry nib. So this is Krishna, and it's Winter. But I would say that that's an interesting ink, and I probably don't have an ink like that in my collection so far. Probably the closest I would have maybe Diamine Amaranth perhaps, but that's a little bit more brighter pink. The next ink is Krishna Poyka. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this is quite a nice green. A little bit, goes on a little bit like Diamine Sherwood green perhaps. But I would say that this is probably a different type of green once it dries. So this is Krishna, and this is Poyka. The next ink is Krishna Shamrock. So we'll do an ink swatch. And I have to say that pretty much all of the Krishna inks are very high in dye saturation. So if any ink is going to sheen, it's going to be a Krishna ink. So we'll do a writing sample here. So this is Krishna, and it's Shamrock. But that is another nice green coloured ink. Maybe this one is actually a little bit more like Diamine Sherwood green. The next ink is Krishna Vaikhari. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this already is looking a very nice brown coloured ink. We'll do a second pass, just so you can see the difference between a wet and dry nib. So this is Krishna, and it's Vaikhari. But that, I would say, is a really nice brown ink. I'm really liking the look of that so far. And then the final ink here is Krishna Moonview. Now, I just want to show you the rim of that bottle because that is already a sheener there. So we'll do an ink swatch. And I would say that this is quite high in dye. So we'll do a second pass here. Hopefully we'll get to see some of that sheen. So this is Krishna. And it's Moonview. So let's take a look at these inks in a little bit more detail. We have Krishna Breeze, which is a very nice sort of light blue, turquoisey style colour. This is very much similar to a cerulean blue. Now you can see the difference between the wet and the dry nib, and you'll see there's quite a bit of shading here in the pulled areas. There is no sheening. It kind of wants to sheen around these areas here, but it's just not quite doing it yet. The next ink is Krishna Winter, and this I have to say is a really nice ink. It's a pink ink, and you can see here the very difference between the wet and the dry nib. There's also some pooling there, and you can see that there is some shading going on. But then look at this sheen that's going on here. This is a really, really nice colour. So this is a bit of a sheen monster here for a pink ink. And then we have this one, Krishna Poyka. And this reminds me of Diamine Smoke on the Water. It's a green ink, and you can see here the wet versus the dry. And you'll see here that this is still a little bit wet, and this has taken a long time to dry. But if I show you this, this is the amount of sheen that you get out of this. So if you like a green ink that will sheen red, then this might be the ink for you. The next ink, which actually reminds me a lot like Diamine Sherwood Green, is this one, Krishna Shamrock. You can see the difference between the wet and the dry. There's quite a bit of shading going on, and there isn't any sheen. It kind of wants to sheen, but it's just not quite doing it yet. The next ink is Krishna Vaikhari, and this actually reminds me very much of Akamon SBRE Brown. It's certainly the lighter colour. The darker colour is a little bit more, I'd say, darker, but you'll see here that this also has some sheen going on there. Not a lot, but it is there and you can see it. But I do like the lighter colour of this ink. So in a drier nib, then you might find this would look a lot nicer. And then the final ink here on this comparison is Krishna Moonview. And this, you'll see here, also has a lot of sheen going on here. So you can see the difference between the wet and a dry nib here. So most of these inks will sheen when they are super saturated. So if you use these on a wet writing nib, then you will see a lot of sheen. And you can definitely see that sheen there. So a lot of sheen going on. So that's my Krishna inks comparison number 1 video. If you like any of these inks, then do let me know in the comments below. And likewise, if there are any other Krishna inks that you like, do let me know in the comments below. So that's my Krishna inks comparison video number 1. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.